Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 169 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on July 5th, 2023. How are all you wonderful folks doing? Man, I hope you all had a great 4th of July. It was awesome, right? Yeah, a long weekend. Man, we took a long weekend. We did Pew Science, did some testing. A lot. Oh my gosh, so much testing. It was ridiculous. Did some actual recreational shooting. Grilled some deer, venison, cheeseburgers, all kinds of stuff, man. It was a great time. You know, I usually record these podcasts on Tuesday nights, but since that was the holiday, here we are. Yeah, just doing a little late this week, but we're still here. I just had a really great workout. It's pretty late. Man, I had a really great workout. Midweek is typically bench press and bench accessories for me, with overhead press, stuff like that. So it went really well today. Really, really been getting to lift regularly again, which is nice. It makes me feel good. Makes me feel real good in all aspects of life. So I like that. I'm a big fan of that. Some fun things to speak about on today's episode. I think I have a pretty good list here. We're going to get into listener questions. I'll talk more about the Knights Armament Mark 23 and USP silencer, and talk a little bit about what it's like to shoot that on both the HK Mark 23 and the USP 45 Tactical. And I think I even have some information for you regarding shooting the Huxworks silencer, the Flow 762 Ti on the Scar. Yeah, I did that too. So, yeah, that's right. Fresh field experience, field to ears, artisan free range podcast, something like that. Yeah, no. Hey, you guys see the new Threads app? It's called Threads. It's this new thing. It's supposed to be a competitor to Twitter, and it's put out by Meta, the Facebook people that do Instagram. And so, yeah, it just came out. I heard murmurings about it, and they launched a thing and where you can just install it. So this evening I installed it, and I registered both of the Instagram accounts with it because it's coupled to the Meta stuff. I guess it's coupled to that same ecosystem. And so if you do use the Threads app, give me a follow on there. The J Situation and Pew Science LLC, same Instagram accounts. I think it even has a function where it can follow all your existing accounts anyway, too. If you wanted all the ones you follow on Instagram, you can make it follow on Threads. So I'm on there. So yeah, maybe we'll use that for some quick communication. Maybe it'll be easy because we're all in the same ecosystem from Instagram. Maybe it'll be easier than Twitter. Maybe I'm on Twitter as well, but I don't know. I guess we'll see how it shakes out. You know what I mean? So let me know if you use it. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Maybe it'll crash and burn. Maybe we'll just use Instagram and ignore it. I have no idea what's going to happen. But let's get into today's episode. First, a word from our gracious sponsors. 1 second. The J Situation Podcast is proudly sponsored by Legion Athletics. That's right. They're a dedicated sponsor of the podcast and this entire effort. It's pretty cool. I'm a firm believer in a sound mind and a sound body. And physical activity is important, I think, whether it's strength sports, cycling, martial arts, or any number of activities. Anything you can do that expresses the beauty of human strength, I'm totally here for it, man. And participating in those activities is paramount for all people in all stages of life, okay? So when you end up prioritizing these things in your schedule, you look for help in doing that and motivation and things like that, but you also might need help with supplementing the nutrients you need. You can't always make awesome meal prep and everything. So, hey, maybe some supplements can help you be more consistent, and you're no good unless you're consistent, right? That I think translates to all aspects of life. So Legion Athletics has stuff that I think can help you. Whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout. Do they have everything you need? Maybe not, but they do have a lot. Okay, so visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes, code word PewScience to save 20% off your first order. And if you keep using that code, you'll get double loyalty points. So you'll end up getting a net 10% off at least everything going forward with points using that code. And if you're like me and you use supplements a lot and you keep buying them, man, having a loyalty point system and getting and getting that money back or getting a discount when you're using it all the time is good because you're always going to be buying it anyway. So why not just save money? You know what I mean? I think that's cool. The J Situation podcast is also sponsored by Top Gun Range Houston. That's right, man. These indoor shooting ranges, they're finding a good one can be kind of hard. And Top Gun is pretty good, man. I tell you what, it impressed the heck out of me when I was there. They're worth checking out if you're in the Houston area. In addition to having a 15-lane indoor range, they have the largest firearm rental fleet in the whole state of Texas. You can rent pistols and rifles and shotguns, machine guns, a lot of different stuff. You can try the guns before you buy. Maybe if you heard of a gun and you're like, I want to try that out. I want to see how it feels, and I want to see how it shoots. You can do that at Top Gun Range, okay? Check them out. You can check out the entire rental inventory at topgunrange.com, and you can also find them on Instagram at Top Gun Range, okay? Go check them out. The podcast is also brought to you by High-End Armament Technology, a dealer that's a little different. They offer some crazy stuff, high-end arms and accessories. They have a long history of dealing in the NFA game and the night vision game, infrared sighting systems game. They play a lot of games. They're all very expensive. Robert and his crew have decades of experience and actual knowledge of the gear. So whether you're trying to figure something out, what the best application or gear for your application is, whether you're looking for something rare, if it's a weapon system, you're having trouble finding it, you want to get into that night vision or thermal game, Robert and his crew can help. Okay, check him out at highendarms.com, on Instagram at highendarms, and they even have a Facebook page, which is also High End Arms. Okay, I hope they can help you folks out. If you need it, tell them Jay sent you. And the J Situation podcast is also proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop, the largest distributor of silencers in the world. Really? I mean, if you get right down to it, right? The U.S. has the biggest market, and they're the biggest in the U.S. Therefore, they are the largest distributor of silencers in the world, and they support Pew Science. They support this podcast. They support the suppression rating. They support the silencer sound standard. So there you go. Okay, use their kiosk, do your fingerprints and photos electronically, and in turn, you cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. You got a money-back guarantee. It's pretty great. No transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. That's right. And check out the show notes, like I said, for the Legion Athletics stuff. True Shot Gun Club out of Arizona. Use their code word PewScience there. Use code word PSTEN at magpul.com and save some money. Okay? And lastly, and most importantly, and overall, probably the biggest thrust of this ad portion of the podcast is that this podcast is brought to you by Pew Science. Okay? And it's really the thrust of this entire effort. Pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It is the simplest and the most accurate hearing safe rating for your suppressed small arms. It's based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone. It's the only place in the world you're going to get this. All right, and Pew Science, it's the home of the silencer sound standard, and there's 7 sections. It's the most in-depth and accurate silencer test data and analysis in the entire world. Check it out at pewscience.com, and you can support this podcast. You can support Pew Science, which in turn supports the podcast and supports the testing by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. Join our family, please. There's also a donate function if you're not into recurring charges. That's fine, dude. If you want to just throw me a bone every once in a while, donate feature on the website helps too. Also, you can totally not contribute at all. And all you want to do, man, is spread the word. All right? Give the podcast a good rating on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you consume your podcasts. And let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. It will help to normalize the use of suppressed small arms to the general populace. That's right. I got 3 topics for you today. Topic 1, listener questions are back. That's right. We'll continue answering some of the questions from the 5th solicitation. And topic 2, the USP 45 Tactical. It's really a Mark 23 compact, isn't it? That's right. But as such, it is appropriate for summer beach carry. When you're looking to downsize a little bit for the Mark 23, you go USP 45 Tactical. It's the compact, right? I'm joking, but also not joking. The quest for the coolest GATs, suppressed pistols, and you. we'll talk briefly about that. And then finally, topic 3, SCAR project mini update. That's right, Flow 762 Ti with the KNS discarder. Oh my God, he did it. I did. I'll give you a quick update about that. It's not comprehensive, but it is an update. All right, topic 1 at a time at 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Oh, that's not bad. All right, let me get a drink of water 1 second. Well, that bottle's history. Next bottle. 1 second again. All right. Topic 1. Listener questions are back. Oh, good golly, Miss Mollis. Go to our spreadsheet, 5th solicitation. For those of you who are not aware of this phenomenon, it's been a minute. I am determined to finish this solicitation by the time the summer is over. We got to finish this. I've been slacking on it. There's been so much other stuff to talk about. Let's get back into this right now. I make these solicitations every once in a while on social media, guys, and I keep track of the questions and I record them in the spreadsheet and we go through them. We're now in the 5th solicitation, the 5th round. And last time, and I'm telling you guys, if you haven't heard these before, you can find the listener questions metadata tag at pewscience.com/podcast. And again, it'll be with this episode. So you'll be able to click that and find all the episodes where we do the listener questions. And we left off last time on question 374, sub-question 83. So that's the 83rd question, the 5th solicitation. And that question was, have you made any progress in figuring out the 16-inch 556 host? Enjoyed your thoughts last time. And I went on to talk about the 16-inch versus 14.5 and everything and why we're doing 14.5 next, yada, 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 yada. And by the way, that testing is actually ongoing and we actually have some contracts for 14.5 testing now. So it's happening. So yeah, stay tuned, my friends. That's happening. All right. So we'll get into this episode's questions. Let me make my spreadsheet bigger so I can see this list. I think we have some good ones. Yeah. We'll get into this episode's questions. We'll start with question 375, sub-question 84. Please describe advantages of inducing turbulent versus laminar flow in a suppressor. Thanks, heart icon. They made the heart with the less than sign, the caret, and then the number 3. Well, sir or ma'am, you're most welcome. And I appreciate your heart sentiment. Okay, gosh, how am I going to, oh my God, really? This is what you ask right now? I'm like, it's late. I decided to do listener questions. He asked me a fluid dynamics question immediately. Awesome. Let me repeat the question. Please describe advantages of inducing turbulent versus laminar flow in a suppressor. Oh my God. All right, let me see. I'm trying to figure out how to do this succinctly, but also like useful to everyone that's listening at like all different levels. So, okay, we'll do it at a high level. We'll do this at a high level just to capture the general phenomena and answer this gentleman's question and not alienate the entire audience. Okay, so to answer this question, first, okay, we have to define turbulent flow and laminar flow. Basically, it's where, okay, so you have this thing called the Reynolds number, all right, and it's non-dimensional, meaning that when you compute it, it's just a number, it doesn't have any units, all right, so it's where your Reynolds number falls. So when the Reynolds number is relatively low, you get something called laminar flow. When you get a Reynolds number that's relatively high, you get something called turbulent flow. Okay, remember that part. Okay, now the Reynolds number, it's actually a ratio. It's a ratio of flow density and velocity to viscosity of the fluid, whether that fluid is a liquid or a gas. It's the ratio of the density and its velocity to viscosity. So let's say that's a more simple way. Reynolds number, it's the ratio of inertial force to viscous force of the flow. Does that make sense? Okay, so let me repeat that. It's the ratio of inertial force to viscous force of the flow. Okay, so if you have more inertial force than viscosity can resist, you're probably turbulent. This is like super crude the way I'm saying this, and there's probably physicists right now that are screaming. That's okay. You get it though, right? So if viscosity is influencing your flow significantly, you're probably laminar. Right? So if your viscosity is not doing much, yeah, you're probably turbulent. If your viscosity is super important, you're probably laminar, more or less. Now, what I'm going to tell you right now, because your question, sir, was please describe advantages of inducing turbulent versus laminar flow in a suppressor. So I'm going to tell you the chances of you having laminar flow in your silencer is probably 0. Okay. And you wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want laminar flow. And that's, I guess, your question, because your question is, please describe advantages of inducing turbulent versus laminar flow. I'm going to tell you right now, advantages, yeah, you wouldn't want laminar flow in a silencer, okay? Turbulent flow is highly diffusive, okay? It allows heat transfer more better. So let me say it happen a different way. Heat transfer is going to happen more quickly with turbulence. So that's what you want in a silencer. That's a good thing. You want that. The higher the shear in the fluid, the better the mixing and the diffusivity, I guess. You're gonna mix well. You're gonna mix mo better. You're gonna mix better. So if mixing is your game, which it is as a silencer guy, you want turbulence, I think. That's what I think. And now what you don't want, here's what you don't want with turbulence. What you don't want is some supersonic gases getting around your bullet, like in a weird, uneven way, and then there's some kind of flow field that is not good and makes your bullet like pitch or yaw before it gets out of the silencer. That's a problem. Okay. What happens when that happens? You get dispersion issues on your target. You might even like destabilize a projectile in keyhole or something. Right. So if you got to manage your turbulence. If you manage your turbulence, it'll treat you right, I think. There are several examples of turbulence being bad in the silencer. In popular silencer culture, in consumer reports over the past 2 decades, we have examples of that technical phenomena going awry because someone didn't understand the gas dynamics in a silencer that designed it. That's happened several times. It still happens. Okay, so you're going to be turbulent. The question is, how and where and when? I hope that helps. That was probably one of the most complicated questions I've been asked. So let's not do that again. I hope that was useful. Question 376, local question 85. Man, I do hope that question was useful, or that answer was useful. I think I did that justice. I'm sure I'll be told if I didn't. Question 85, will you get into testing body armor soon? It is time to ruffle some feathers, or is it time to ruffle some feathers in the body armor industry? Oh my God. Get a drink of water right here. Yeah, not soon. Excuse me. Not soon, but that may be something Pew Science offers in the future. I don't know. The great thing about body armor, there's a lot of great things about body armor. But one of the great things about body armor is that there are plenty of labs out there that do good NIJ testing. There's already ballistic laboratories that do great work. So I think you guys are in good hands, assuming the laboratory reports are being correctly written and interpreted, by who's ever consuming them. And then you have maybe hopefully the results are reported truthfully. Maybe labs typically, they do what the test standards say. It's not that, just because a lab tests something doesn't mean that the product's awesome. It just means that the lab tested it. And a test is only worth what the results, how meaningful the results are, right? Like you could have like the best lab in the world do the most expensive test ever, and if the test doesn't really show what you care about, well, then who cares about the test? You know what I mean? But in this case, what you care about with body armor is it's stopping the projectile and not like doing other bad stuff too at the same time. And so, the ballistic test standards really aren't that difficult to understand, and they're not that complicated. And so they're actually pretty simple to follow for most ballistic laboratories. So I have pretty high confidence that there are some great sources of information out there. I wouldn't worry too much. I think maybe where Pew Science could come in is to explain the standards to the public, maybe show some examples, maybe explain the physics, maybe prove out some off-the-shelf stuff that maybe hasn't been shown in a lab, maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure I would want to be a dedicated ballistics lab. It's a lot of work for not something that, I don't know. Pew Science kind of has its hands full with small arm systems, and that's not really body armor. It's more of the system. So, I don't know. You never know. It could be. So the answer to your question is, you're asking soon? No, not soon at all. Watch. I end up doing like next month because someone asked me to. It could be. Question 377, sub-question 86. Will there ever be Magnum rifle data? Yes, sir. Sir, ma'am. Thank you for the question. And yes, sir, absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, a long time ago, several years ago, I've already done internal testing with 338 Lapua Magnum, and 338 Norma Magnum, and 300 Norma Magnum. I've already done that testing with some silencers. We'll be doing some more 300 Norma Magnum testing actually soon, very soon. This is interesting that this question came up this way now because we have a contract we're doing right now for 300 Norma Mag, and that's going to be published. So I'm very much probably published, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I think, you know what, I was thinking about 300 Norma Magnum, and because 300 Norma Mag fits through 308 silencers and 338 doesn't, I was like, oh man, I think 300 Norma Mag testing might be a gauntlet, and I think a lot of people are going to find it useful when you get up into that type of combustion, and there's definitely some heavy hitters in 300 Norma Mag. And you don't even know, fam. It's going to be wild. I mean, when you get the pressures super, super high like that with long duration, ooh, it's not 308 anymore. And it's not 5.56 either. Ooh, 300 Norma Mag. Just saying, it makes me excited. Hey, by the way, if you're listening to this, 300 Norma Mag enthusiasts, tell me your favorite ammo and what the most common ammo is. We're thinking about getting ammo directly from Norma. It would seem prudent, but if you have a favorite 300 Norma Magnum load and reasons why you think it's the best to test with, shoot me an email, tech@pewscience.com. I need that feedback soon. Please help. And when I mean soon, I mean send it to me. Okay. Excuse me. Hold on. Sorry. There might be some surprises when it comes to comparing 308 data to 300 Norma Mag. I know there's some surprises. It's going to be cool. Some silencers might blow up too. There's that. I hope that helps. Question 3, that's a good question. Question 378, sub-question 87. Can you share where and how the ear measurements are taken? Yeah. Well, thank you for the question. First of all, thank you for the question, sir, ma'am. Absolutely, I can share that. In fact, I already have, and it is written in the Silencer Sound Standard. That's right. That's right. The ear measurements are taken just as described in the standard, right? Excuse me. That protein shake, though. I had the cereal flavor Legion whey protein. Like when you eat cereal, you eat the Golden Grams and you have the milk left over. They have a protein that tastes like that. It's pretty good. Anyway, what I was saying, the ear measurements. The ear measurements in the Silencer Sound Standard, they're taken just as described in Section 4 of the standard. Section 4 of the standard is called Test Method and Results. It's written there. That's one of the places it's written. And where we measure them, it's the same place they're measured in the MIL standard. In 1474 Echo, guys, it's the same. if you want to read that standard too, we were measuring in the same place. Pew Science didn't move the measurement locations when we started publishing Pew Science data. We've been using the same proper locations as standardized from before Pew Science existed, and now we're doing it correctly. So we're doing it correctly each time, every test exactly. It's literally standardized, 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear. It's described in the standard. It's also labeled in every review, actually. If you look at Table 1 in every review, you look at the free version or the member version, it says 0.15 meters right of shooter's right ear. That's 0.15 meters is 6 inches. Guys, that's there. I put it in meters because it's 1 meter left of the end cap of the silencer is where the muzzle data is, and which is also comes from the MIL standard. Okay, so you would be surprised, and this is actually a good opportunity to say this. You would be surprised. A lot of these silencer companies get really mad at Pew Science and really mad at consumers when the consumers ask for Pew Science data, and they say things like, well, he's not testing to a standard. Well, I can tell you right now, before Pew Science existed, guys, and you asked a silencer company for test data, some of them were giving you MIL standard data, but some of them were saying they were, but weren't. And they were putting the sensors behind the silencer. That's one example of an incorrect location that will completely change the results and doctor them completely. And some people, and when they put the microphone near the shooter's ear, they're putting it in the wrong place and in the wrong orientation, which completely changes the results. And they're doing it inside near a wall and all. So all of this stuff, all of the raw data that you see on PewScience.com, remember, that's not Pew Science. That's MIL standard, the way you're supposed to get it. So all the raw data you see, the pressure and impulse, all that is raw data measured in accordance with the MIL standard. Okay, it's in the silencer sound standard because that's on PewScience.com, and Pew Science is the only entity doing this publicly. All the other people that are testing supposedly to the MIL standard, they're not showing you the whole waveforms. So why would I call it MIL standard testing? And then everyone says, oh, well, we're also doing that. It's like, well, no, you're not. Prove it. I mean, so far, we are the only ones that proved it, right? Pew Science is the only one that's publicly proven that we're testing to the MIL standard. How have we proved it? Well, we've shown the entire waveforms at muzzle and ear, and you can see where the reflections happen in accordance with ground reflection and not wall reflections. So if you're a test engineer, you know that the Pew Science data is in accordance with the MIL standard because you can see it in the data. Does that make sense? I hope this kind of quashes this entire line of thinking. People need to, it's like we're way past that now, guys. We've already moved into the suppression rating, and we're comparing different systems. We're looking at ejection port pulse. We're looking at front-loaded versus back-loaded impulse with ejection port signature versus muzzle signature contributions in the advanced member reviews. We're looking at different hearing sensitivities in inner ear response in the member research supplements. We're so far ahead of this. This is just Mickey Mouse stuff. This question about can you share where and how the ear measurements are taken, that's Mickey Mouse. That's like silencer testing 101 stuff that people should have known back in the day with the MIL standard. That's over. We already, Pew Science has done that part. We've already got the raw data. That's forever. We can do whatever we want with the waveforms. We already have them. Okay, that's old hat. The people that are giving you critiques about this, they're still trying to do that part. We're way past measurement, guys. We're way past the measurement of silencer sound. Measuring, that's the one thing that's the test laboratories should be able to get right instantly, and we've done that for almost 4 years publicly now. So that's over. What you should actually be asking is what are you going to do with your data? How are you going to present it to consumers? How are you going to use it? How are you going to analyze it? What does it look like? What can you deduce from it? That's what you need to start looking at. And I can tell you right now, I haven't seen anyone else do anything like that. And if you read the papers in academia, you'll see what they'll try to do. Soon, probably some people will come out with some stuff, and it'll just be the stuff that you've seen. You've seen from decades elsewhere that's not really useful. They'll start looking at like some of the different durations, which will help a little bit, but it won't be looking at the full time regime. So it'll be missing stuff. So again, to your question, can you share where and how the ear measurements are taken? I'll do you 100 better. That, yes, not only will I share that with you, which we have for almost 4 years on the website, but the ear measurements, the actual pressure and impulse, if you're a Pew Science member, you see those in the entirety of the time regime. So not only are you seeing where it's measured, you're seeing the actual raw pressure traces sampled at microsecond resolution. Best in the world. Best, most complete in the world. Okay? I beat that dead horse, but boy, howdy, that should not be even being asked anymore. It's that enough with that. Okay, question 300. I mean, I say that in good faith. I mean, maybe you're brand new to Pew Science, but if you haven't looked at the article, then, or the standard, well, then, come on, guys, give me a little bit of help here. You got to read something I write. I read the whole website there. Okay. Question 379, sub-question 88. Which pre-workout do you use for podcast performance enhancing? You can tell this is an old question because obviously you know now. I use the Legion Athletic Surge. I think I told you guys that recently. Again, it's an old question, right? So I mean, a most up-to-date answer for this is the Legion Athletic Surge. There's a stim-free version, a stimulant-free version as well that I'm using sometimes if I already have caffeine in my system. I don't want to get more caffeine, so I'll use that. Or my wife likes that too. She'll use the stim-free version. Several people I've spoken with that are trying to limit their caffeine intake, they'll use the stimulant-free version. Now, I will say sometimes you need caffeine. That's important. I think managing caffeine intake's important. I do find that I have better workouts when I use pre-workout in general. I'm working out pretty hard. I know people that some people don't even use pre-workout. I know some competitive lifters, they don't use pre-workout until meet day. That's a whole different level. It's a different type of thing. Different strokes for different folks, I think, with that. But I hope that answers your question. That's literally what I'm using right now. I still have it in my system from this workout that I did today. So I'm a little bit zoomed up on it, but not too bad. My workout was earlier this evening or this afternoon. Question 380, sub-question 89. What do you use to power the Pew Science setup in the field? Do you use a battery setup like Goal Zero? That's a good question. There's actually all kinds of things we do in the field for that. It depends what we're doing. Most often, we're actually using tiny hamsters. Yeah, so what we do, we've trained about 600 of these hamsters to run on little wheels. And they power a battery bank, typically when they're running. It's typically how we're doing it. We're working on mind control to get larger animals to run on the wheels. And what we've done, what we found through that research, actually, we found that larger body sizes, they seem to have electrical fields that disrupt some of our mind control. Because you have these mind control beams, okay? So this is how this works. So you have these mind control beams they all have an electrical potential, okay, in the mind control beams. And so what we're doing is we're working on boosting the power, right, without putting the animals into cardiac arrest. Okay, so it's a balance. What you don't want to do is stop the animal's heart with the electric field potential. So it is a balance when we're using these animal power systems. Okay, I hope that helps. I know, if you can imagine what that looks like, it can be messy, especially with the cages. Question 381, sub-question 90. What is your dream hunt? Also, when does pre-order start for your collab rifle with Radian? Wait, what? I'm struggling to remember this reference. I do need to do a collab rifle, don't I? Though I do. I've already given like secret sauce to like rifle manufacturers, and they like make stuff. And they're like, yeah. I talked to one guy. He was like, oh, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do? I like told him, and then next thing I know, he's making barrels for like that are like that. Just how I told him. I was like, man, I should have done it myself. It's like giving all this information away for free. I don't know. I guess I could reach out to Radian this week. That's funny. I don't remember that. Maybe we joked about it on social media or something. I mean, I know the folks at Radian. They're very nice. They're cool. The other part of your question, Dream Hunt. I think Dall Sheep, like Dall, Dall, like Richard Dall, Dall Sheep in Alaska. I've always wanted to do that, but I'm pretty sure it's super challenging. I think animals look cool. I think it has everything. I think I've eaten Dall Sheep that tastes great. Someone I know went Dall Sheep hunting and got Dall Sheep. I ate some of it. I ate some Dall Sheep sausage. It was amazing. I think it would be cool. I think the whole experience is something like I would enjoy, even if I didn't get a sheep. It's like super dangerous too, so that could be cool. Elk would be cool, but if we're talking dream hunt, I feel like I can just go elk hunting. Like I know enough people where like I can go elk hunting if I want to go elk hunting, but we're talking dreams. Dall sheep, man. Like sleep on the side of a mountain and like shoot a Dall sheep at 400 yards. Dude, that's crazy. That's like super nerve wracking. Yeah, Dall sheep's pretty up there. I think dreams should be hard, right? I don't know. They don't have to be, but that'd be one of my dreams. I think Dall sheep. That'd be hard. That'd be cool. Question 382, sub-question 91. How does it feel to be the most well-endowed male in the suppressor industry? What? Well, sir or ma'am, it's got to be sir. Trust me. Because the only woman is my wife. So I don't know who is telling you this. I'm not sure how you know that, sir. Or ma'am. I don't know who's talking. I guess it feels good. I guess I don't really think about that. I only think about my junk. I don't really think about others. Weird. Question 383, sub-question 92. What are some suppressors that you want to test but have a hard time getting your hands on? I don't know. For me, it's always been night stuff. I don't know what it is. Or B&T stuff. Or like exotic stuff like the Delta P stuff. I think. It's a good question. You know what? Nothing out of all of those things actually are super quiet silencers. But I do want to test them because I want to see how they work because I'm curious. All right? That curiosity... I think curiosity is one of the reasons I started the effort. So for me, it's something I can't get rid of that. I can't get rid of that part, like the curiosity part. My curiosity is probably always going to fuel a lot of the experimentation. All the experimentation that I do, it's going to be fueled by curiosity. Unless it's like a contract thing where I'm just being asked to do something, I have to do it, like because it's work. It's all work, but like sometimes you just like you're testing something because you're like, okay, someone asked me to test this, I have to do a good job for them. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not excited. A lot of it though, a lot of the testing I do, I am excited about, and I'm always learning something with every test. So yeah, I guess it also depends on your perspective. I don't know, but going back to your question, I think Knights, B&T, Delta P. It's funny. There aren't a lot of mysteries to me that I haven't already explored in public products. There are things under development right now that I'm excited about. There are also, I should say, there are phenomena in some silencers that are very interesting, that some silencers do induce gas dynamics that are like, they appear to be voodoo. And I think a long time ago, someone said that SIG had talked about one of their silencers, their rifle silencers, reducing blowback from an AR to a level that was below what would happen if the same firearm was unsuppressed. Okay, and we all kind of heard that and we're like, yeah, right, whatever. But then I was thinking more about it. I like, maybe that's not as crazy as we think it is. So I'd like to implement some testing that shows some of that more. You can't do that with the Omega metric, right? Omega metric wouldn't show that. But we could instrument the inside of the silencer. So there's some things that I want to know. And there's some things under development that I've seen hints of and shot that are doing things that are kind of crazy. So for that really excites me. But your question was, what are some suppressors that you want to test but have a hard time getting? Just like I said, those three, the Knights, the B&T, or the Delta P. I can't think of another thing. Oh, there's one thing I saw in Europe where it's basically it looks like it's like a square that connects to a Glock to the Picatinny rail or something, but it doesn't thread to the barrel. I want to test that because I want to see how bad it leaks, and I want to see what I can measure, and it might be awesome. And I don't know. Maybe it has an O-ring. Don't know. I have no idea how it works, other than just a picture I saw on Instagram or something. Someone sent me. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's interesting to see where things are headed. That's a good question. Thanks. Question 384, sub-question 93. All right, how many more are we gonna do? I want to do a bunch. Let's keep going. How are we doing on time? 41 minutes. Yeah, I got plenty of time. All right, cool. Question 384, sub-question 93. Hey Jay. Hi, listener. Which silencer's top 3 maybe has surprised you the most since starting Pew Science? All right, 1 second. I think we've actually answered a variant of this question multiple times, but it's okay. This answer could change based on what we've tested. So I know I've talked about this before, but top 3. Okay. I'm gonna give these. I'm gonna give the first 3 that pop in my head in no particular order. So don't take this as, oh, Jay said these are the best. No. In no particular order, the top 3 that have surprised me the most. And surprise doesn't necessarily mean it's the best silencer. It just means it's surprising. Top 3 in no particular order: CGS Hyperion, CGS Helios QD, OSS HXQD series. I got to give more. Huxworks Flow series, Resilient RSP, Resilient RS9. Sorry, that's more than 3, but is that 3 companies? CGS, Huxworks, OSS, Resilient. Okay, so that I stick with my guns. You asked me top 3 maybe. I said I'll give you different. I say instead of top 3 silencers, I give you top 3. I give you top 3 brands. I think those 3 brands have surprised me. And they're the biggest surprises for me for different reasons. I think. Another one, Liberty Precision Machine Anthem series. It's an outlier, and you know what? There are other outliers too, but because they came later, they weren't as surprising for what they do. So that's why I'm not listing them as my biggest surprise, because you asked surprise. Okay, but those first ones, the CGS and the Huxworks and OSS, the Resilient, those are the ones that are really nuts when you think about it, and to this day are insane what they're really doing. Okay, to this day, I think the OSS and Huxworks stuff, I am still amazed by it. Like in hindsight, I'm not amazed because I know too much now. But what with what I know now, I'm not as amazed. At the time, super surprised. Now I've learned more about it, and I know a lot more. I know a lot more now. I think you all do. I think we know a lot more now. It's July 5th, 2023. We know a lot more now in July 5th, 2023 than we did. When did I launch this publicly? March of 2020. We know a lot more about silencers than we did in March of 2020, guys. We know exponentially more about silencers. We all do. I do. If I know more, I know you do, right? So when you talk about your question, sir, ma'am, you say which silencers top 3 maybe has surprised you the most in starting Pew Science. Well, those. Okay, I think there's going to be more too. Question 385. Sub-question 94. Are the effects of a flash hider or muzzle brake the same when used with a suppressor? That's a good question. I've seen this actually. You know what? I've seen this question asked a lot on like public forums and social media, and I don't believe we've ever answered this on the podcast. Have we? We might have, but I'll answer it. Again, let me repeat the question. Are the effects of a flash hider or muzzle brake the same when used with a suppressor? So this lady or gentleman is asking, if you use a flash hider or muzzle brake on a rifle and you shoot it and it hides the flash or the muzzle brake, like controls recoil, if you put a silencer over that, do those muzzle devices do the same thing with the silencer on it? And to answer your question, absolutely not. No way, Jose. No, because flash hider. Like let's go one at a time. So let's talk about flash hider. Flash hider. It works by changing the mixing turbulence. Remember we talked about turbulence earlier. Well, that's what a flash hider does. It changes the shock propagation around the muzzle orifice outside the weapon. That's how a flash hider works. It does that in atmosphere. Okay, so that's a flash hider. Then a muzzle brake works. Well, how does that work? Well, it directs jet thrust in certain directions to counteract recoil forces on the entire weapon system, right? Okay, so what's going to happen? You put a silencer over a flash hider. You put a silencer over a muzzle brake. Well, now all bets are off. All bets are off. Now flash. Now what's flash doing? Well, now flash is what's flash? Well, now it's going to Now you're going to have gases propagating out of the distal orifice of the silencer. So now the flow state at that orifice, you're not governed by the muzzle device. Okay, it's governed by the latent flow state out of the silencer, the shape of the distal orifice now. So your flash hider is inconsequential at that point. Okay, now when you think about your muzzle brake, well, now you're directing your jet thrust into the walls of the silencer, and you connected the silencer to the mount, and then the mount's connected to the rifle. So the recoil influence is no longer tied to that anymore. It's tied to just like the flash, it's tied to the exit gas flow of the silencer, along with the shock reflections inside the barrel too, which, depending on the weapon, its particular mechanics, you've changed everything. You've changed everything now. So when you add a silencer, you change the way the weapon works. You're done. Okay? Don't start thinking that you put, I'm going to buy a silencer and I'm going to put a muzzle brake on it and a flash hider on it. It's going to change the flash, and it's going to be like a different, like it might change the flow rate, and you might change flash because you know what you might do? You might actually, depending on the silencer, you might get less flash with a muzzle brake because the silencer works differently with the muzzle brake, but not because muzzle brakes hide flash, because they don't in the free air, right? You understand? So your silencer behavior, when you put a silencer on the gun, the silencer dictates the recoil and the flash. The silencer, not the muzzle device. Now, to the extent the muzzle device influences the behavior of the silencer, that's a different argument. Understand the nuance here? Okay. Because yes, muzzle devices can change silencer operation, but in and of themselves, your question, Sir Man, was, are the effects of a flash hider or muzzle brake the same when used with a suppressor? The answer is no. Okay. All right, let's do a couple more. Question 386, sub-question 95. Describe your ideal suppressor salesman. Let me get a drink of water 1 second. How are we doing on time? Okay, good. 49 minutes. Is that right? Yeah. Describe your ideal suppressor salesman. I'm probably not very good at this. I don't understand the question. Describe your ideal suppressor salesman. I don't know if I have. Okay, here's how I'll answer this. I'm going to describe my ideal salesman of anything that's sold. That way I won't color this in a way that's going to like get me in trouble or get you in trouble or get anyone in trouble. So not only silencers, but like anything. Like if you're gonna sell something, like what's my ideal salesman? Like mine for me. I think to me, the ideal salesman to me, the consumer. I would be a consumer in this case, I guess. It would be someone who listened. Okay, it'd be someone who listened to what I needed or wanted, and that person would probably give thoughtful insight into which products met or meet or did not meet or do not meet my needs. Maybe they use real information to help me. Maybe they give me resources to learn about things. Maybe those resources help me make the best informed decision for myself. But when I think about that, when I say that, it's like, well, let's say, you got to recognize that some people don't want to weed through a bunch of information, and maybe the salesman, maybe my ideal salesman then would be educated enough to distill a bunch of complicated information down to a level at which me or any other consumer could understand. Maybe they could distill it down to a level I could understand, a consumer could understand, and then find the information useful. Like, so, I guess my ideal salesman would be an educator, I think, and would be a thoughtful listener and a thoughtful communicator and thoughtful educator. I think that would be my ideal salesman. Not only for your question would describe your ideal suppressor salesman. I think that would be my ideal salesman for any product. I think one of the things could be that they're respectful too. I think that would be good. But that's, again, you're saying for me, and I'm coloring that with my own preferences and what I think is important. So I hope that helps. I don't understand why you're asking that. Maybe you're a silencer salesman and you're looking to get better. And if so, I applaud your efforts, and I hope I can help you. Please reach out anytime. Okay. We'll do one more. Question 387. Sub-question 96. Thoughts on the iRay RH25? iRay. That's Ifiniray. Ifiniray? For those of you who don't know, that's a Chinese manufacturer of thermal optics. I haven't used. That's a good. Thanks for the question. I haven't used one, except for like at a show or something. I use. Oh gosh, I know. I think everyone's kind of bored of me talking about this. I have a bunch of thermals. I use the thermal I use that's closest to this iRay. I use it's pretty high end. It's the Voodoo S by Pixels on Target. I'm not saying the iRay model is bad, but it's Chinese. I don't think we can. And here's the thing. And I talked about this with Isaac Botkin on the T-Rex Arms podcast back in December. I don't think we can get away from using a lot of Chinese stuff. It's a complex issue. I think Chinese stuff's here to stay. But I also think that this company in particular is probably tied to the Chinese defense companies and the Chinese military and government. And I'm not super into getting involved with that. That's not my jam personally. It's a tough one. This is a tough one because this stuff is a lot of money and so So all that stuff aside, forget about that for a second. I think it probably offers a lot of bang for the buck if you're getting into thermal. Now, what I would do if I were you, here's what I would do if I was you. If you're really in the market for this, what I would do, I would find a buddy who has one to try it out. I would ask people who use it and who have used other stuff to compare. If you try it out in person, if you can do it with your buddies, that's great. If you're going to try it out in person, don't just try it out in like a cold, air-conditioned showroom or exhibit hall at a show. Don't do that. I mean, you can do that if you want, go nuts, but like know that like you need to go outside and try it in the humidity. You can try it day and night outside in humidity in different conditions, and you need to know what to expect. And some of that's going to come from experience using thermal. And maybe it's good to use some thermal before you go shopping for thermal, meaning find a buddy to go hunt with or like at least scout with. Maybe you can borrow thermal from a buddy. The way you know if a thermal is going to work for you is you got to use it. It is not like buying a gun. I'm sorry, but if you have no idea what you're doing with thermal, do not spend $5,000 on a thermal. Like you need to try it first. It is not something that you just jump into. I cannot describe to you how complicated this is. I think that you should know that there are some environmental conditions that make all thermals not do well. And you just have to know how to use thermal, and it's going to come with time. So, getting back to your question, thoughts on the iRay RH25? I haven't used one, and because of that, there's no way I can give you thoughts that are gonna be meaningful for your use, dude. I would be a liar if someone gives you a recommendation on a thermal and they haven't used it. Walk away. There is no possible way they can give you a good opinion that's of any use to you if they haven't used it with regard to its performance. Because I can tell you right now, I have used enough thermals in enough conditions to know that there are nuances that without demoing them, it's super easy to see a snake in the grass in that market. So be careful. All right. Now, there are some people who have used it and probably used really expensive stuff, and maybe they're going to be a little snobby about it, and that's okay. I mean, if it's for good reason. But I think if you're looking at the iRay, that means you're budget conscious, which means you care about money, which means you need to do your due diligence because you don't want to get burned. Because there's nothing worse. You can probably resell it if you don't like it, but I don't know how much they cost. Somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. So that's not a small amount of money for anybody, right? I mean, for most people. So I don't know. I know that the iRay, I'm pretty sure, like my Voodoo, you can put it in front of a scope as a clip-on. That's what I do with my Voodoo. I also put my Voodoo on a helmet. I know you can do that with the iRay too. I don't know how the weight compares. Weight is something to think about. Clip-on ability is something to think about. Durability is something to think about. Can you put an iRay on the scar? I don't know. I can put a Voodoo on a scar. You know what I mean? Like, there's all these little things that, like, once you become like more into thermal, you get to pick and choose. But also the price rises exponentially. So there's that too, right? Like, you buy a Voodoo, you're gonna be paying the price of like a mid-sized sedan. You know, you buy the iRay, you know, it's like an old used beater car. I'm just giving you I'm not saying the iRay is bad and an old used beater, but I'm saying like the cost magnitude. And you know what? With $3,000 or $4,000, that's a lot of ammo, and that's a few silencers, or that's a really cool pistol, or that's an awesome rifle. So think about what you're buying, and do you actually need it to? Okay, like that's a lot of money. So if you know you want it, if you know you want thermal, do your due diligence, and if you really want to know, you message me. We will talk, and I will try to hook you up with people in your local area that will have enough gear to show you to blow your mind. Okay. I am going. So thank you for asking that question. You probably helped a lot of people. Okay, I am going to highlight that row in our spreadsheet. Question 96, and we'll in this solicitation we'll continue on with question 97 next time we do it. Saving the spreadsheet, and I'm closing it. Oh, man, I enjoyed that. Okay, let's move into topic 2 at a time of 58 minutes and 49 seconds. Oh, my goodness gracious me. There is so much to talk about, and it is getting late, and I have not eaten dinner. 1 second. Did he bite off more than he could chew this podcast? He did. Topic 2, the USP 45 Tactical. I think it's a Mark 23 compact. That's what I call it now. So people are like, oh, but Jay, there's a USP 45 compact, and there's a compact tactical, and there's a USP 9 compact, and you can't call it. No. The USP 45 full size, the USP 45 Tactical is a Mark 23 compact. You can't change my mind. I literally bought it because I was like, you know what? I love my Mark 23, but I'm having trouble fitting it into certain garments for carry. I can carry the Mark 23, But I'm also looking for optimal fanny pack carry too. I got to be honest with you. I like 45. I think I might be hunting with a Mark 23 this season for deer. I bought the 45 tactical. I've always wanted one. I bought it for the test program. Let's talk about my initial. There's a lot to talk about. This is probably going to be a saga the lasting months. But right now I want to talk about the initial USP versus Mark 23 suppressed experience that I just experienced this on yesterday, July 4th. Okay. So I'm not sure we have time to cover all of this technical discussion today. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you initial impressions. We're going to go high level because I'm just excited about it because I just shot them and it's fresh in my mind. So with this episode, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be posting a photograph. I'm going to be posting a photograph of both the pistols with both pistons removed from the silencer and installed into the guns. Okay, so you're going to notice that the piston assemblies are different. The Mark 23 system, it has a guide bushing on the piston, and the USP system doesn't. The USP system actually has vent holes, funny enough, and the vent holes you see in the USP piston is very similar to what you see on many of the modern pistol assemblies you see in modern pistol silencers. Remember, the Knights Armament silencer is pretty old. Okay, so these piston assemblies that you see on the modern silencers, they're duplicated by all the pistol silencer manufacturers you see, and some of the duplicate ideas are from each other's pistons, and some silencer manufacturers have and designers have pistons that do a little bit different here and there. There's some little changes here and there, but at the end of the day, most of them can be really traced back here to the Knights Armament. And so you might ask yourself, I was thinking about this, how I was going to kind of preface this, and I've talked about this a little bit before, but I know some of you haven't heard this, because, you might ask yourself, why are these different? Like, why do you have two different pistons? It's the same silencer, right? It's the same silencer. Like, why on earth are there different piston assemblies for the same silencer? And so some people say, well, it's because the Mark 23 is threaded 16x1 right hand and the USP Tactical is threaded 16x1 left hand. Well, yeah, the only reason they're threaded differently is so you couldn't confuse the pistons and put them on. But it's not threading that made them do a different piston. The threading is so you can't use the different piston on purpose. They on purpose wanted to limit you. So So let me ask the question again. Why are there different piston assemblies for the same silencer? There's only one reason, and that's adequate function over super long firing schedules. System integrity, system reliability. Okay? Physics is why. The suppressed pistol system from HK, it's intended to have a relatively long service life, and it's effective. They don't want it to malfunction. I mean, it's actually not something typically in the design standard for a handgun. Like, you don't. It's not like always done. I actually don't. It's funny if you press me on this, and I don't know enough. But I know a little bit, and I'll say I don't know many handguns that can function for long periods of time with silencers as proven by the manufacturers. Now, I'm told FN did a lot of testing with their 509 line, the FNX stuff. That I've heard that some silencers do bad things, and we're gonna get to that research later, I'm sure, but. Like, for example, I know the SIG P226 has a reputation of wonderful functionality with silencers. I mean, I have a couple of those. I love the P226 suppressed, actually. I was talking to a guy. I have my favorite, my SIG, the one is the German frame in the US milled slide, Nitron slide, the P226R. So it's a little bit not as balanced as the old ones. But anyway, that's 9mm, but I don't get too far off track. So, one second. So I've talked about this before. The reason you need a piston, and this is why this will help you understand why you need different pistons for this silencer with the two different guns. The reason you need a piston in the first place is to decouple the mass of the silencer from the recoiling mechanism of the pistol. You want the pistol to still be able to cycle when you hang a big weight off the barrel into the barrel. These aren't fixed barrel weapons. It's not a rifle. It's actually like when it's a modified Browning tilting barrel action. So if you when you cycle your gun by hand, you can see how the barrel moves, right? And well, what happens when you put a bunch of mass on the end? Well, you have inertial resistance. It's a problem, right? So we just talked about inertia earlier when we were talking about the Reynolds number with turbulent flow. And a lot of things have inertia, and the silencer is no different. Now, let me explain this. So I've explained this before. Gemtech, they literally called their system the LID, LID, the linear inertial decoupler. I thought that was clever. But Knights had this, So there were other methods in the Mark 23 program by HK prior to the piston. If you look at the history, they had springs on the perimeter of the silencer that HK had designed. But the piston solution that Knights came up with is more simple and elegant, I think. And it's axial, which is probably a good idea, especially when you think about what can happen with some moment arms. And so I always thought the linear piston, the axial piston, was smarter, and it seems to be. I mean, no one else is doing anything differently, so it must be, right? Because it works. And what does it actually do physically? Well, what it's doing, it's allowing the flow restriction on that occurs from the first baffles of the silencer in the baffle stack. It's allowing that force, that thrust force that's created there, along with the inertial resistance of the silencer, meaning that the force it takes to move the silencer itself through space from rest, it's allowing those two things to keep the silencer forward during recoil. So that jet thrust, you can actually transfer enough momentum to help compress the spring. So if you can keep the silencer from being coupled to the barrel and slide at just the right time, you can take advantage of that momentary time where it's for all intents and purposes decoupled, the slide will be able to cycle. And if your silencer is light enough, it's funny. If your silencer is light enough, you'll see this. You don't need to decouple the mass. You don't need an inertial decoupler, because that inertial resistance of the silencer is so low because it doesn't weigh a lot. It has less mass, so you can just shoot the gun. It'll cycle anyway if the silencer is too light. But the Knight's Armament silencer that you put on these HK guns it's steel, and it's big and it's heavy. Like most silencers are too heavy to have a pistol cycle with them attached. So you look at the Mark 23 and the USP. Both guns shoot the 45 ACP cartridge. One second. Both guns shoot the 45 ACP cartridge, but different barrel lengths, different slide mass, different kinematics. Same silencer mass, same silencer back pressure. Yeah, same silencer back pressure, same silencer, remember? Right? So how could you use the same piston assembly for both guns and get identical kinematics and also comparable reliability? How could you do that? Well, you couldn't. Well, I mean, you can't, right? You can't. It's not possible. You couldn't use the same piston assembly and do that. It wouldn't work. Because you need different mechanics. So what? You can't, you're asking something that's not, that question is nonsensical. So what Knight's Armament was like, okay, so that's what they did. They changed it. And so I'm going to test these setups to show you the physics in pressure and impulse space, but I'm going to do that later. Okay, I'll do it. I actually would have done it. Probably would have done this weekend, except I didn't get the gun until I missed the delivery, so I didn't have it in time for to go. Anyway, it's a long story, but I have the gun now. I shot it. For now, I'm going to tell you. So I shot them both this weekend. I shot a few mags through both. I've shot the Mark 23 a lot with the silencer, and so what I did is I installed the USP piston in the Knights silencer first this weekend, and I shot that first on the outing after I was done with rifle shooting, because I wanted to. It's like brand new gun, let's do it right out of the box. Installed the other piston, shot it. It was fun. Recoil did seem a little snappy. I was using CCI Blazer 45 ACP. Oh no, CCI Blazer. I'm sorry, I was not using CCI Blazer. I was using Speer Lawman. That's right. I was using Speer Lawman 230 grain 45 ACP. Recoil seemed a little snappy, not unmanageable, but did seem a little snap, a little, it's 45, so it's not 9mm. So there's more recoil. Sight picture was okay. Not nearly as nice as the Mark 23. In my opinion, it was okay. It was fun. I think suppressed 45 ACP is fun. The Knights silencer, it's not super quiet. It's also kind of shorter than most modern ones. I was shooting with my NFMI, my near field magnetic induction plugs under my OpsCore amps. So I was using those all day to shoot. I always use those when I shoot for fun due to the amount of rounds. I have hearing damage. I always use the hearing protection. People ask me what hearing protection I use. I get that question all the time. When I am doing a lot of shooting, OpsCore amps, muffs, either on my helmet, I have another pair standalone, and under those I use NFMI plugs. I'm always using double hearing protection. Okay. So it was fun. Oh shoot, I use USP, right? I was like, okay, first rounds through the silencer, that was cool. Put it away. I think I shot like 3 or 4 mags through it. Put it away. Took the USP piston out of the silencer, installed the Mark 23 piston. Installed it on the Mark 23 per typical. Okay, that's easy. Done that before. Got to tighten it via right hand instead of left hand on the other gun. Now, with the first shot from that Mark 23, I was reminded of why the Mark 23 is goated with the sauce, man. The recoil with the silencer is completely different. When you shoot, I'm telling you, the Mark 23, it has a push. It's like a smooth push to the recoil. Now the slide's bigger. I haven't weighed them both. I forgot what those slide weights are. I'll weigh them, no problem. The slide on the Mark 23 is bigger. It has more mass to it. I don't know. The recoil spring assembly is different too, but shooting with the silencer on the Mark 23 is a superior experience to shooting that same silencer on the USP 45 Tactical. It's superior. Now, both are fun. Both will get the job done. Both are lethal, especially for animals, man. If you're into that, many a thing have been killed with 45 ACP from a pistol. Trust me. A lot of things have been killed. For ultimate mechanics and recoil kinematics, I think it's hard to beat the Mark 23. I think this outing showed it. I'm looking forward to shooting both more often. I wanted to give you this quick update. Again, I just got the USP 45 Tactical, so those are literally my first rounds through the pistol. Both that pistol and the Mark 23 have only been shot suppressed by me. I will only shoot them suppressed. The only time I'm going to shoot them unsuppressed is when I test the silencer. So I'm going to get a baseline for those two pistols, just for completeness. It doesn't matter that much, except yeah. So it was fun. I mean, I know that's like not a hugely satisfying update for you with regard to those because I haven't actually tested them yet. I've just shot both, but I'm going to say the rumors are true. The Mark 23 feels better suppressed than the USP 45 Tactical. I mean, I've seen people say that before. I've never experienced for myself back to back, and I just did with the silencer that has the design for the Mark 23. It has the piston assembly for the USP as well that's designed by Knights for the HK gun, both approved for use on those pistols and tested. I'm telling you, back to back, give me the Mark 23. Now, is it hard? Is it bigger? Is it maybe harder to hold for some people? Is it harder to conceal because it's bigger? Is it heavier? Yes. But it's still good with the sauce, So you just gotta decide what kind of sauce you like the taste or not. I think the USP 45 Tactical is a cool gun. I think I'm probably carry it in a fanny pack. I don't know. I'm thinking about making the transition to 45 from 9mm for all my carry. To be determined. Topic 3 at a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 28 seconds. Okay, this one's going to be fast. I just wanted to really hit this because a lot of people have been asking me. 1 second. Okay, so Scar Project mini update. It's not a full update here. Huxworks Flow 762 Ti with a KNS discarder. So 2 birds with 1 stone. Right, now, real quick. I used the Flow 762 Ti on the 14.5-inch mid-gas Daniel Defense 5.56 and the 13-inch Scar 17, both yesterday. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, on that KNS discarder with that silencer, I was roughly using the same setting. I think roughly it's around, 1 or 2, I think it's like 1 number off maybe, using the same setting for the Flow 762 as I was with the Hyperion K with a special end cap. Now, I was not using a vented end cap. I wasn't using a solid end cap. I was using a end cap that does have some vents in it. It doesn't have a flow rate that's as high as the vented end cap at all, but it does have a little more vents. It'll probably a little higher flow rate than the solid one. But what I'm saying is like that flow rate compared with the Flow 762 wasn't that far off on the Scar for weapon function. So what did it show? So bottom line is that it showed that the Flow 762 has higher flow restriction than the HXQD. Now, that's definitive. Okay? Now, the Flow 7... Now, here's an example. Another example. The Flow 762 allowed me to make the Scar function with the stock gas regulator on the full vent setting. So what I did was I took out the KNS, I put the stock regulator back in, put it on full vent. The stock regulator only has 2 settings. With the gas jet I have installed, it just so happens full vent unsuppressed wouldn't cycle. Okay? Put the Flow 762 on full vent with the stock regulator, it did cycle. That's important. HXQD 762 wouldn't do that. So, Flow 762 does indeed have higher back pressure than the HXQD 762. Okay? The Flow series in general has higher back pressure than the HXQD series. And the Flow 762 has higher back pressure than the Flow 56K. We saw that on the test data. So, Pew Science data shows this. The Omega metric actually offers insight into it, although it's not complete. It does offer insight. So this should really be a good thing for people wanting to peg point. Okay, we've shown the Flow 762 is a flow-through silencer, but it does have some back pressure. It does. The data shows it. It's definitive. Now the Scar showed it too. Okay, so it's real. It's real, guys. Okay, the data's real. I cannot emphasize to you enough. Like this, you just got to look at it. It's okay. We know the Omega metric is the research parameter, but it's not crazy. All right, now remember, we can compare it especially with the Flow 762 with the alpha parameters and the muzzle devices that are similar. It's a really good peg point. You understand? Now, practically, a good thing to also understand, just so you know, I did not notice any weapon malfunctions and fouling. I was using the silencer on 2 guns. The reason I was doing that, I was checking zero with the silencer. I was doing target practice for fun at medium range after doing ranch work. Okay, this is like I squeezed in this. I had already tested during the holiday. I had zero time. I wanted to get back in time. We owned to grill venison burgers with the family and eat cheeseburgers. But before that, I wanted to go shooting. So I had limited time, but that's what I did. I'm going to have more experience later to share. I will say, like I said before, if you're interested in using a silencer that does not influence the function of the gun that much, and it won't completely foul your magazines and put gas in your face as you shoot when compared to unsuppressed, the Flow series is that type of silencer. I had no issues with the silencer at all. Self-tightened just like it always does on the mounts. I like that part. I actually did burn one of my bags. I was using my bags as a rest, and when I was using on the Scar, silencer got a little too close. Now I got some nylon burned on my flow that I'm gonna have to spray paint it now, just because I have to make it look cool now. It's like, oh, it has nylon on it. Time to put some tiger stripe green on it on the FDE. Make it look cool. I spray painted the other HXQD. Now I'm gonna spray paint this one. It's gonna be awesome, and then it's gonna burn off and look weird. It's fine. Okay, I think that's all I have for this evening and this week. It's a holiday week, short week, but I hope this was a lot of information that helped you. Okay, please stay safe out there. We're going to be back next week with another podcast episode and some more data for you as well. Okay, so again, I hope your 4th of July was great. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. Okay? I will speak with you folks again soon. All right, bye.